The savanna unfurled beneath the sky ablaze with the violent artistry of dusk, gold searing into amber, then crimson bleeding into deep indigo, as if the heavens were weaving a shroud for the day. A haze of dust shimmered in the air, stirred by the restless shuffle of her hooves, the low grunts of wildebeest in the distance, and the faint rustle of wind through brittle acacias. Near shrinking waterhole, its edges cracked and sun-bleached, a herd of zebras grazed, 60 strong now, their black and white stripes a mesmerizing dance against the parched grass. Among them stood Kwezi, a young stallion with a jagged scar snaking across his left flank, earned in a brutal hyena ambush 3 seasons past. His ears flicked, catching whispers of unease the others missed, his dark eyes scanning the lengthening shadows. The herd was a living symphony, mares nuzzling foals, stallions snorting challenges, but tonight the savanna held a predator's promise, and Kwezi felt its weight like a stone in his chest. Mhina, the herd's matriarch, loomed at its center, a grizzled mare with a notched ear and a coat faded by decades of sun and struggle. She'd led them through droughts that turned rivers to dust, stampedes that shattered the earth, and predator gauntlets that left scars on her soul. Her bellow could rally the herd from chaos, her presence a rock in a storm. Beside her grazed Zuri, a swift-footed mare with a foal at her heels. A colt named Rafi, barely 2 months old, his stripes still soft-edged. Zuri's vigilance was quieter, her eyes darting to every rustle, a mother's instinct honed by loss. Her first foal taken by jackals a year prior. Jabu and Tano, brothers with a reckless streak, sparred near the water's edge, their kicks churning mud into the shallows, their laughter-like brays echoing. Kwezi lingered on the fringe, his scarred legs stiff from the day's heat, his bray softer. A survivor by grit, not swagger. Across the plain, unseen eyes watched Nia, a lioness whose name rippled through her pride like a dark prayer, crouched in the tall grass beyond the acacias. Her tawny coat was streaked with dust and old blood, her amber eyes glinting with a hunger sharpened by 6 years of kills, buffalo, giraffes, even a young rhino once, its skull cracked under her jaws. She'd stalked the herd since midday, her pride waiting a 1/4 mile off near a termite mound. Cato, the scarred male with a mane like charred thorns, his limp a trophy from a lost fight. Sifu and Lila, younger lionesses with lean frames and restless paws, eager for the share. And Vuka, a cub not yet weaned, hidden in a thicket, mewling softly. Nia had chosen Kwezi, his limp, his isolation, a perfect mark in the herd's mosaic. The wind turned, carrying a scent of musk and death. Kwezi's head snapped up, nostrils flaring, and he loosed a sharp, piercing bray. A warning swallowed by the herd's lethargy. The day's heat had dulled their senses, the water hose promise lulling them into a false peace. Too late. Nia erupted from the grass, a blur of muscle and malice, her roar a thunderclap that split the dusk. Kwezi bolted, hooves pounding a desperate tattoo, dust billowing in his wake, but his scarred leg buckled, slowing him just enough. The herd exploded, foals bleating, mares scattering, stallions rearing. But Nia was relentless, her growls a hymn of slaughter. She closed the gap, claws raking Kwezi's side, carving bloody furrows that glistened in the fading light. He stumbled, crashing to his knees, and she leapt, pinning him, teeth bared for his throat as his cries pierced the chaos. But the savanna is a stage of shifting fates, and this tale was far from its final bow. Mina's bellow rose. a deep resonant call that shook the air like a war drum, a sound that had once scattered a hyena pack and turned a crocodile's jaws from a foal. Kwezi wasn't just another zebra. He was hers. A cold sheet shielded from that hyena ambush, nursing him through fevered nights when the herd thought he'd die. With a flick of her tail, she rallied them, her notched ear twitching as she wheeled toward Nia. The zebras didn't flee. They turned, a tidal wave of stripes surging as one. Their unity a defiance of nature's script, the counterattack was a spectacle of raw will. Mhina charged, head lowered, her bulk a battering ram aimed at Nia's flank. The lioness froze, mid-strike, as 60 zebras thundered forward, stripes blending into a dizzying wall of fury. Kwezi scrambled upright, blood dripping, as Mhina slammed into Nia, sending her sprawling with a snarl that cracked into a yelp. Jabu and Tano flanked her, their reckless energy now lethal. Hooves lashed out, sharp as flint, catching Nia's shoulder and thigh, drawing snarls of pain. Zuri darted in, snapping at the lioness's legs, her foal Rafi bleating from the herd's edge, guarded by an old mare named Kwezi, whose milky eyes belied her ferocity. The herd tightened around Kwezi, a living fortress, their breaths a ragged chorus of defiance. Nia rolled to her feet, roaring fury, her pride's eyes glinting from the termite mound. Keto lumbered forward, mane bristling, his limp slowing him, while Sefu and Lila prowled closer, claws unsheathing. Vuka's mules drifted from the thicket, a distraction Nia ignored. The pride had expected a feast, not a war. Nia lunged again, claws slashing Jabu's shoulder, blood spraying, but the herd pressed tighter. Tano reared, hooves cracking against Nia's chest, the sound a whip in the wind. She staggered, winded as Mhina circled, kicking dust into her face. Kwezi leaned against Zuri, his strength ebbing, but his eyes burned with a flicker of life. Beyond the fray, a subtler drama unfolded. Kazi, an aging ostrich with ragged feathers and a lopsided strut, had shadowed the herd for weeks, scavenging their leavings. A loner tolerated, but never welcomed. His squawk split the air, shrill and jarring, as he bolted toward the waterhole, drawing Keto's gaze. The scarred lion hesitated. Sefu growled, and Lila paced, their unity fraying. Across the plain, a jackal named Siko slunk from the shadows, drawn by blood scent, his yellow eyes glinting as he circled the chaos, waiting for scraps. The Savanna's core swelled, life and death in a delicate dance. Then came the first shock. A trumpeting blast shattered the night, deep and earth-shaking, as an elephant herd burst from the brush beyond the acacias. 8 grey giants led by Thabo, an old bull with chipped tusks and a temper vast as the plains, stormed into view. His herd was a tapestry of survival. Nala, his mate, her trunk scarred from a poacher's snare. Biko, a brash juvenile with a chipped ear. Tiza, a cow heavy with calf, and 4 others, their steps a symphony of power. They'd grazed near this waterhole for months, their paths crossing the zebras, in a tense truce, Thabo once scattering a lion pride that dared too close to his calf. Tonight, that truce ignited into something extraordinary. Thabo charged, ears flapping like war flags, his bulk a landslide of wrath. The ground quaked, dust choking the air. As Nia's pride scattered, Kato bolting first, his roar swallowed by fear, Sefu and Lila vanishing with yowls of frustration, Vuka's mule silenced as he huddled deeper. Nia stood defiant, claws digging in, but Thabo's trunk swung like a flail, forcing her back. Mhina seized the moment, rearing to kick Nia's flank, a blow that sent the lioness tumbling. Suri and Jabu pressed in, hooves flashing, while Tano and Casey guarded Kwezi, who swayed but stood, blood matting his stripes. Nala lumbered forward, herding the zebras tighter, her massive feet a wall against the night. Biko stomped near Nia, his trumpet a taunt, as Tisa trumpeted a warning. But the true shock was yet to unfold. From the waterhole's edge, a guttural hiss erupted. A crocodile, old jaws, a relic of the wet seasons with a hide-like armor and teeth yellowed by years. He'd lurked in the shallows, ignored by the herd, his eyes glinting as Kwezi's blood scented the air. Now, roused by the chaos, he lunged, not at the zebras, but at Nia, jaws snapping as she stumbled near the bank. The lioness twisted, claws raking old Jaw's snout, but his tail lashed, knocking her off balance. Thabo bellowed, trunk swinging, and Mhina kicked again, a three-way clash that froze the Savanna in disbelief. Old Jaws retreated, hissing, as Nia fled, limping, her pride's roars lost to the dark. The zebras panted, sweat and blood mingling, as Thabo's herd loomed protectively, silhouette stark against the stars. Kwezi's breath rasped, his torn flank a crimson smear, but he pressed against Mhina, alive. The herd reformed, Jabu licking his wound, Tano snorting defiance, Zuri nuzzling Rafi, Kessi standing sentinel. Kazi strutted back, feathers ruffled, as Siko slunk away, denied his prize. Thabo's gaze met Mina's, a pact sealed in dust, an alliance of giants and stripes, forged in a night of shocks. Dawn painted the waterhole gold, the Savanna, whispering its secrets. Kwezi's wound would scar, twinning his old one, but he'd live. The herd had defied nature, Jabu and Tano sparring again, their wounds badges, Zuri's foal prancing, Kisi's milky eyes proud. Thabo's trumpets echoed, his herd lingering near the acacias, while old Jaws sank into the shallows, brooding. Nia's pride would hunt again. But this plain was marked, not just by a lioness's defeat, but by a herd's fury, an elephant's wrath, and a crocodile's unexpected strike. The vultures circled, the jackals watched, and the Savanna held its breath for the next act.